Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a story that honestly seemed to come out of nowhere for a lot of people. The split between Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban.
Yeah, definitely a shocker.
And we want to look at this not just as, celebrity gossip, but really try to understand what happens when relationships face that kind of intense public spotlight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a relationship that lasted nearly 20 years.
19 years.
19 years.
Yeah.
They got through the whole Hollywood-Nashville distance thing. Fame, rehab for Keith early on. I mean, they seemed like they could weather anything. So this news, yeah, it's surprising.
It really is. They were kind of the gold standard, weren't they? The Aussie power couple who actually made it work long term. And then, well, suddenly it wasn't working. So our goal today is to really dig into the sources we've gathered because the story is a lot more complicated than just the headlines.
Right. TMZ confirmed Nicole filed for divorce pretty quickly, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like just days after the whispers started circulating in Nashville.
Exactly. That speed itself is interesting. But the sources we've looked at point to a couple of really key things going on behind the scenes. There's this mysterious Maggie factor that keeps coming up.
Right.
And maybe even more surprisingly, this connection to another huge celebrity split, Hugh Jackman's divorce.
That's the part that really jumps out. The idea that one high-profile split could somehow influence another.
Yeah, let's start there with that ripple effect theory, because it almost feels like, I don't know, breakups are catching lately in that circle.
Well, it's a fascinating claim, isn't it? Nashville insiders talking to the Daily Mail actually suggested that Hugh Jackman, separating from Deborah Lee Furness, might, and this is the word they used, inspired Nicole and Keith to rethink things.
Inspired. Wow, that's a loaded word. Does that mean, like, seeing friends do it made it seem okay? Or maybe provided a sort of justification?
It seems less like direct imitation and more about maybe a psychological shift.
Yeah.
The specific quote from the source is pretty telling. It says, "Sometimes when you see another couple seeking fulfillment outside of a long marriage, it can be an idea that catches on."
The emotional domino theory, like seeing one forever narrative crumble makes you question your own.
Exactly. It kind of reframes what feels possible or maybe even acceptable within that really tight-knit, high-profile community.
Okay, but let's push back on that a bit. Hugh and Deborah Lee, they were seen as the couple, super solid.
For decades. Yeah.
And they were close friends with Nicole and Keith, right? Weren't they at their wedding back in 2006?
They were, which makes the connection even stronger.
So, if the absolute benchmark couple splits up, does that really inspire you? Or does it maybe just provide, I don't know, really convenient timing or public cover for reassessing a marriage that was already having issues privately?
That's probably the more critical way to look at it. It might not be the root cause of their problems, but it could act as the perfect catalyst for making the final call.
Right.
If you're already struggling internally, seeing another couple you admire, another seemingly perfect unit, choose individual fulfillment, well, it might suddenly make that incredibly difficult choice feel more legitimate, maybe less isolating within your social sphere.
It kind of breaks the spell of the perfect marriage brand they all have to maintain, makes separation seem less like a failure and more like an option.
Exactly. It legitimizes walking away from that forever narrative.
Okay, that makes a certain kind of sense for the mindset shift, but it doesn't quite explain the speed, the suddenness of it all. And this is where the timeline, the sources layout gets really dramatic, because the change seems almost instant.
Yeah, the contrast is pretty stark. You look back at early June, Nicole posts this really sweet anniversary photo online.
Right, I remember that.
And Keith replies with a heart emoji. Standard stuff. Everything looks fine on the surface, business as usual.
Totally normal celebrity couple maintenance.
But the sources are clear. After June, it's like they vanished from each other's orbits. Just gone. Radio silence online, reportedly in private too.
That kind of abrupt shift from public affection, even if it's just an emoji, to total public absence, that really screams that something big happened internally, something fast and apparently final.
And according to those Nashville insiders, again, that something involved whispers of a betrayal, something serious. The word was one of them couldn't get past it.
Okay, so that leads us directly into the second major factor then, the Maggie factor.
Ah, yes. Maggie Bow, the 25-year-old guitarist.
Yeah.
Suddenly she's part of this huge story.
So what exactly happened there? The sources point to a specific incident on stage, right?
Yeah, it involved Keith performing his song, The Fighter. Now, that song is pretty widely known to be about Nicole. about their journey together.
Okay.
And during a performance, instead of the original lyric, he apparently sang something like, "Maggie, I'll be your guitar player."
Oof. Okay. That's not subtle, especially changing a lyric in that particular song. When your relationship is so public, the songs written about it become part of the brand, don't they?
Absolutely. They're like public declarations.
So to swap out a line meant for your wife about your unity with a shout out to a young collaborator on stage, wow. Regardless of intent, that feels like crossing a line.
Well, it immediately turned into a PR mess, as you can imagine. Keith's team tried to manage it, put out a statement saying he often ad-libs during live performances, trying to frame it as just a normal, spontaneous musician thing.
Just a creative moment, nothing to see here.
Pretty much. Try and downplay it. An innocent riff.
But given the context, the rumors of betrayal already swirling, the significance of that song, that explanation probably felt a bit thin to many people, didn't it?
It seemed to land pretty flat, yeah. The narrative had already started forming.
And then TMZ had that other source adding fuel to the fire.
Right. That source told TMZ, quote, "All signs point to Keith being with another woman." And crucially, they noted Nicole was reportedly shocked, but not disputing it.
Her silence or lack of defense for him publicly after that spoke volumes, didn't it? It gave a lot more weight to the rumors.
It really did. It signaled that even if the lyric change itself wasn't definitive proof of something, it might have been the public moment where private hurt or suspicion boiled over.
And that really highlights the whole fame and fragility connection, you know? Even if it was just an innocent ad-lib, the pre-existing suspicion made it look like Exhibit A.
Exactly.
It shows how any little thing a celebrity does in public can instantly become the defining moment, the smoking gun, in the public's mind for a private breakdown.
Which brings us to the bigger picture, I think. We need to step back from the specific details and ask, why does this keep happening? Why are these long-term, seemingly solid relationships under the glare of fame so vulnerable?
Yeah, why couldn't 19 years of history withstand whatever pressures came along? Pressures that, non-famous couples face too sometimes.
Well, the sources point to a few things. Part of it is simply the immense pressure of maintaining the brand. For years, that Aussie power couple image wasn't just personal, it was professional currency too.
Right, it's part of their public identity, part of their appeal.
So ending the marriage isn't just personal heartbreak, it's also kind of dissolving a business partnership in a way.
Right.
And the fallout from that is huge.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the sheer logistics of their lives.
Exactly. The sources talk about this: two massive global A-list careers. That means constant demands, touring, filming on opposite sides of the world. Their lives are almost built to pull them apart physically.
So much time apart. And when they are apart, the world, the media, expects constant proof the connection is still strong. With that anniversary post, the emoji.
It's like the marriage itself has to perform its stability for the public nonstop.
Yeah.
And if there's even a tiny slip in that performance or something potentially problematic happens, like the lyric change, the media cycle jumps in immediately. And it doesn't do nuance, does it?
Not at all.
It needs a simple story, a villain, a victim. So they seize on the Maggie factor, not the complex marital strain exacerbated by careers. That simple, dramatic narrative takes over and kind of accelerates the whole breakdown publicly.
It's like a feedback loop, isn't it? You're dealing with the pressures of fame, separation, maybe temptation. Then if something happens, the public narrative gets set in stone almost instantly. Keith's team is scrambling to deny the betrayal story.
While Nicole's silence, which could just be shock or needing privacy, ends up looking like confirmation.
Yeah, it becomes more powerful than any statement could be.
It really does. So any existing private issues, any cracks, just get magnified and distorted by the public lens. What might have been worked through privately over months gets forced into a very rapid, very public conclusion. Because the brand of unity was so strong, the collapse has to be equally dramatic and clear-cut.
It turns those cracks into canyons overnight, basically, because everyone's watching.
Precisely.
It really is quite sad, though, when you step back and think about the nearly 2 decades they built together.
2 kids, a whole life navigating so much.
And yet, even with all that history, that foundation, it can still fracture under this unique kind of pressure.
It's a stark reminder, I suppose. Even the most admired, seemingly perfect love stories aren't immune to the same basic human needs for fulfillment, the possibility of change or temptation. It's just everything is amplified, like turned up to 11.
Yeah, amplified to an almost unsustainable level. Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive today, it feels like we've landed on two really interesting, somewhat conflicting threads driving this story in the sources.
Right. You've got the Hugh Jackman ripple effect, that external inspiration idea, suggesting maybe it was a thoughtful, if painful, reassessment.
And then you have the much more immediate internal rupture symbolized by the Maggie factor incident, the betrayal narrative.
Yeah, and the key takeaway for me, looking at the sources, is really how the specific demands of extreme fame, juggling these huge, separate careers while projecting this perfect, unified image, creates a situation where private problems can escalate into public crises incredibly quickly.
The pressure cooker effect.
Absolutely. There's just no room for error and no real privacy to navigate the tough stuff.
Okay, so as we finish up, here's something to think about, drawn from what we've discussed today based on these sources. When people reach that absolute peak of global fame, does the constant, relentless scrutiny fundamentally make forever almost impossible? Or does it just shine a giant spotlight on the cracks that might exist in any long-term relationship, forcing them open much faster?
Is fame the cause or just the accelerant? A really interesting question about the price of living your whole life, even the painful parts, in public.
Something to definitely mull over. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
Thank you.
We'll catch you next time.